And Griff, whenever you're ready, as soon as you start talking, we'll start.
Alright, dope. Hey guys. I started writing my qualifications, but I got bored, so I figured I'd spin you a little story instead. It's not that crazy. When I first came to Troy Phi, I came looking for people who watched anime. That was it. That was my single goal. Of course, I came to Troy Phi specifically because I am half Filipino, but as a introverted, fresh-faced freshman, my utmost priority was making sure I made a friend, and I did. I met Jaden at the beach bonfire, Troy Phi's very first welcome event of each school year, and a huge moment for bringing in new members. Evidently successful, and I mean, oh, he's not there, but you know. I went in with that first, and in retrospect, quite shallow goal in mind. But before I knew it, I'd found a place and home among people far more diverse than just that interest. It's a club that genuinely welcomed every part of me and where I had fun. In freshman year in college in general, it's easy to get sucked into the stress of it all, but I'm confident that beyond anything else, my time in Troy Phi, at parties, at friendship games, at GMs, at retreats, that was my solace in a very turbulent time in my life. And I want to ensure that everyone can have that experience that I did because it was very important to me. And by being a social chair for the last 2 years and hopefully soon being the external vice president in my last, I can do that. There's a lot of people here who unfortunately have never heard of Friendship Games. I'll give a little quick summary. Friendship Games is an event hosted every fall between a bunch of SoCal's Filipinx collegiate orgs where we compete in a bunch of silly little games. It's one day of competition, sitting in the sun, eating Filipino food, having fun with other orgs and Filipinos, and it's held during PAM, Filipino American History Month, and it's a great way to show our Troy Phi spirit in the fall semester. I wouldn't say it's as big as PACN, but it's basically the fall equivalent. You spend the weeks beforehand practicing the games a bunch of times a week with other members, food gets brought to practice. It's just a great way to feel involved in the club and to give something. And 2019 was the last time we had a real Friendship Games. And I think that alone is emblematic of the hit that all external and social aspects of Troy Phi have unfortunately taken since then because of the pandemic. The job of EVP is multifaceted. Member recruitment being one of the most paramount, Friendship Games, everything else I read in the description of Charles' position a couple hours ago to prepare for this. But at the end of the day, it means making connections and keeping them. Being able to do Friendship Games in this upcoming fall and to give it our all as a club represents a hell of a lot more than just an event. It's a big step of growth for Troy Phi. A step where we learn once again what connects us to other Filipino clubs, where we can remind ourselves that we return to Troy Phi not because we're told, but because we want to give back to the family we have here, and a step where we make sure that students joining the club for the first time, whether they're freshmen like I was or not, making sure that we have the excitement, bonds, and comfort that many lost college students need. These are the essential parts of being the EVP in my opinion, and it's something that I aspire to ingrain in the members of the club just as it was in me so long ago. To begin with, as EVP, I want to make sure that the relationship between EVP and social chairs is stronger. Member recruitment is a fundamental part of the EVP's job, and it's interconnected with every single social event we have. The beach bonfire being the first and most prominent way to show new members the family we have here, but also parties. Setting my bias and enjoy for them aside, parties are a very common place for people to bring their friends and to have a good time. Once they get a feel for what we're about, it's genuinely a huge source of member recruitment for us. Like people vibe with us. I can't blame them. But, we throw bank. Sorry. There's also a huge number of members who find themselves too busy for every week GMs and tend to come by TP functions in need of that solace that I spoke of earlier. Along that vein, externalizing to other Filipino orgs or just USC orgs, EVPs and socials can do a lot working side by side, and as a former 2-year social chair, knowing the ins and outs of that job, I hope to make that happen too. As I emphasized, Friendship Games is a big priority of mine. As of the 2022 school year, only 2 board members will have attended an in-person Friendship Games, me and Jaden. With such a huge in-person intercollegiate event where we have to make sure we match other schools, not just in preparation, but excitement, knowledge of the event is very important, and I wish to bring that. And lastly, I want to make a significant emphasis on member retention. As social chair, we could rarely ever guess the amount of people who would come to a party this year because, frankly, there was such a discrepancy between the attendees of GMs, parties, and other events that it was nearly impossible. And I think to do that, we must ensure that we cater to everyone, a big part of member retention. We have to cater to Filipinos wanting to celebrate their culture, students wanting to take a break from the stress of life, people simply looking like friends, or lonely anime fans like myself. Thanks, guys.